Welcome to Films and Stuff with your hosts, Pete Mitchell and Ethan Hunt.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Films and Stuff. I am Ethan, along with most valuable Pete. Hey, Pete, what's up today?
Not much, buddy. How are you?
It is our weekly stream or skip segment. We know the drill. Pete, you're the best at this. You want to break down the rules in, I'll give you 20 seconds or less this week.
Thank you. So generous. Ethan and I have given each other lists of TV shows and movies to watch. Every week, we randomly assign each other one of those shows to watch. We watch at least 2 episodes or 30 minutes if it's a feature-length program. And on that basis, we determine if that show or movie is worthy of being streamed or skipped.
Now, this week, let's not say cheated, but we manipulated it a little bit. And you assigned me a show on Netflix, which is now the #1 streaming series in the UK. And we did it deliberately because we thought, look, if this is so popular right now, we've got to do a review on it. And the show is called Bodies.
Yeah, and just for context, originally, Ethan was assigned a show called Warrior on HBO Max or Max.
Yes.
Obviously, because Bodies was also something that was previously also on his list already, but also because Max as a platform is so tough for Ethan to use. His Max is my Amazon Prime. So when he gets a Max program, he's, quite hesitant, or not hesitant, but he's just dreads having to watch it.
Expecting the worst. I expect the worst.
And that's the same when I get an Amazon Prime.
Amazon. Yeah. Oh, man. That's bad for Gen B. So in any case, Pete assigned me Bodies. It's on Netflix. It's a limited series. 1 season, 8 episodes, came out October 19th, so about 2 weeks ago. The creator is a chap named Paul Tomlin. I'm not familiar with him, but this is based on, I guess, a comic book or a sci-fi from a guy who's relatively well known, Cy Spencer. And to break it down, this is, let's call it a detective show. We're introduced to 4 different detectives across 4 different time periods: 1890, 1941, 2023, and the last one is 2050 something. Way back now and in the future. And it all takes place in central London on the same alleyway. And each of these 4 different detectives, they all find the same murder victim. It is exactly the same corpse. It's a male. It's completely naked. It's positioned in the same way, kind of on its side. There is a tattoo on the wrist, which is very distinctive. And then it is missing an eye. Initially, everyone kind of thinks it's because of a gunshot, but it seems like the eye is just gone. So each of these detectives is kind of borderline obsessed with the case. And the circumstances obviously are very, very strange, right? I mean, there doesn't seem to be any suspect. It's strange to find a body in any era, completely naked. The marking is very unique. The scar is unique. The absence of an eyeball is very strange. So each of these different detectives is not just like flummoxed, but they're just kind of like obsessed in terms of like, what is going on with this? So I've watched 3 episodes. It's an 8-episode season. And Pete, after episode 1, I messaged you and I said, must subscribe.
Yeah, I think your words were, stop what you're doing and watch this right now.
We don't take it lightly when you and I tell each other to watch something. But, when we give a must subscribe to each other, I always have like a little bit of trepidation, especially after 1 episode. Generally, I like to see like 2 or 3 before I give you that recommendation, because sometimes we've been let down. A series starts very good and suddenly, like it tapers off a little bit. And oh, I thought it was must subscribe, but it's not. In this case, I was pretty convinced that you would love it as well.
Absolutely. It's because it's a murder mystery. That's one point in favor. Two,
Yeah.
time travel elements,
Oh,
although there's no
we're in.
direct time travel.
We're in.
It does what other shows of this type haven't successfully done, which is it gets you hooked from the first episode.
Yeah.
And it's all the more important because this is just an 8-episode miniseries. It's not, something that we're going to expect to see multiple seasons of.
Yeah.
That's usually something that I hold against TV series.
Yeah.
But in this case, that puts the pressure on the show to deliver from episode 1.
As an aside, you and I have seen this and we discussed it really ad nauseum with so many other shows. It may not be fair. It may not be right artistically, but given the amount of content available for people to consume as a showrunner or as a creator or as a writer, you just don't have 3 episodes to kind of find your voice or find your footing. I know that's not fair. And I know that historically you and I could go back and probably find an endless list of shows that are beloved that started a little bit slow, right? Even kind of like if you go back to like the Seinfeld and the Friends and so many other on and on and on, they all kind of started a little bit slow. You didn't really love the characters or get their quirks or something. And then whether it was 3 episodes in or half a season in, or sometimes even after the first season, then it started to like really gain its momentum. We don't have that time anymore. We just don't. You and I mean, as much content as we consume, a lot of content is based on recommendations now, right?
Yeah.
Or what's trending now. And you just don't have the old days, right? It was like network television. You knew that people are just going to turn on their TV every night. And you had kind of a captive audience for a whole season, You're like, look, they may not love it, but they're still going to turn their TV on Thursday evening. We'll figure it out eventually. You don't have that anymore. If something's not great, people are going to stop watching it. They're not going to recommend it. You've just kind of lost the audience before you've even started,
Right.
What this show does great is, as you mentioned, from episode 1, it locks people in. And when you see a show lock people in, it looks so easy to do, but we don't know behind the scenes if they've reshot this 2 or 3 times. Maybe they tested it. It was kind of like, not bad, not great. And they said, okay, we got to make it, a little bit spicier. We got to make it like a little bit more fast paced. We've got to introduce the characters earlier. They may have like reshot this 2 or 3 times. And I would say whatever it takes to get the hook into the viewer, that first episode, you have to do. We have so many examples. How about Citadel on Amazon Prime? First episode, just kind of like, nah. You need to reshoot that episode and you need to find a way to get your viewer hooked from episode 1. Otherwise, your whole season is kind of down the drain. I feel you nodding.
I mean, we say that it was not just that there's a variety of content and a number of alternatives, but people aren't as patient as they used to.
Patience is also a function of other options and time pressures, right? In the 90s, you turned on TV or, you rented something and that's kind of all you had. So you were okay slogging through it to see if it would get better because you really didn't have any other options and you really didn't have any other time pressures. Now, for better, for worse, mostly worse, we do have a lot more options. There's no reason to waste your time. We always talk about the fictitious example, the father of 2 kids who's got 1 hour of free time on a Friday night, and he's going to watch a show. If he's got that 1 hour, he doesn't have time to waste it on a show that's not capturing his attention. He's going to stop after 15 minutes and say, hey, I've only got like 45 minutes left before I've got to do this, or I've got to go to bed, or whatever's got to take place. He's going to watch something that captures his attention. He's got other options. More things on Netflix. If it's not Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, Disney, blah, 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 right?
Mm-hmm.
Of the 4 detectives, who did you like most? And can you name the detective who is in Andor?
Andor.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to say it, and you're going to flip your lid.
I mean, the one I like the most is the first one chronologically, the Hillinghead.
You know who Hillinghead is?
Who's Hillinghead? Oh my God, is it Cyril?
Yes.
Oh, he was also my favorite.
Yes. Now you can see it, but when you're watching it, you
Absolutely
cannot.
not. He's got that old-fashioned mustache
Yes.
beard
Yeah.
combo.
Yeah.
Yeah. The moment you said
Yeah.
Andor and you start going
Yeah.
through the mug
Yeah.
shots of everyone on
Yeah.
there, he's the only one
Yeah.
that could have been it.
And let me make a second aside, because this is what we do. Yesterday, I saw my cousin. She had on a very old episode of Sons of Anarchy. Do you remember
Okay.
this show?
I do, yeah.
Yeah. About like a motorcycle gang in Southern California. I never watched it. There was a scene in a hospital, and there is a doctor. Sons of Anarchy is how many years old? 10 years old, probably?
Maybe
15?
more. Yeah.
Right? I'm like, where have I seen this lady? Where have I seen this lady? And it hit me. I wish you were there with me because no one else was nearly as impressed. You've watched Billions, right?
I have, yeah.
The lady psychologist.
Maggie Sith.
Yeah. She's like a 25-year-old doctor in the show in this episode. And I was like, that's who
hilarious.
it is. But I saw the face. I'm like, I know exactly who this is. Why can't I place her? Like, but I knew that she was so young. So yeah, Cyril Karn plays the Hillinghead detective from 1890. I like him as well. Should we go into the social issues here?
Yeah, we might as well.
I mean, this is a detective series. I felt overall the series kind of stayed away from social issues. Detective number 1 was a white male. Detective number 2 was a white male, but he was Jewish. It was kind of during World War II, right? So there was a little bit of...
Not persecuted, but, he's certainly looked down upon for it.
Yeah, there's some slurs. 2023, it's a female Muslim detective, right? But she doesn't seem to be treated badly at all. Like, there doesn't seem to be any commentary on that. And then in the future, it's someone who apparently has like a little bit of a disability.
Yeah, my take on it was that she had some kind of genetic condition which would have prevented her from walking like her half-brother.
Yeah.
But then she had that, I guess, like exoskeleton implanted on her spine, which allows her to walk.
She's very small, by the way. She's extraordinarily tiny. Did you notice? Like as an actress?
It's a scale from her, no.
Oh, yeah. Watch in future episodes. I was a little bit surprised that they cast her in that role. She's very pretty. And if you look at her IMDb, she's very pretty. But like, she is so tiny that it's hard to kind of like put her in. Honestly, if she was playing like an 18-year-old or a college student, I think she could have pulled it off. She's very, very tiny and young looking. I was a little bit confused at first. But in the 1890 version, Cyril is married with a daughter, and he's a closeted gay man. Is that right?
Potentially. We're not 100% sure, but it certainly seems that way, yeah.
I felt it was a little bit... I mean, there's a time and place for that, but I felt like this is not intended to be like a social commentary. Like, this is not a show I thought that was getting into like personal lives. It was supposed to be kind of like a real detective.
A proper mystery.
Yeah. So I thought, given the fact that you don't really get into personal lives for the other 3 folks, I thought that was a little bit outside of what the focus of the show should be.
Maybe, but I also think that probably going to use that because there's a good element of blackmail, which would work for that era. Like, it's not a huge deal to be gay in 2023 or 2053, but in 1893, that's a big deal.
Yeah. So we both watched about 3 episodes. I think we're at the precipice that there's going to be a big reveal in terms of kind of how this is all interconnected. I'm not there yet in terms of understanding it or even having a good guess as to where it's going. How about you?
No,
and maybe that's some of the fun, right?
First of all, that's true. And second of all, I'm getting a lot of vibes that are similar to other shows and movies that I've loved. A little bit of 12 Monkeys. I'm getting a little bit of Looper. I'm getting a little bit of Vortex. There's a little bit of dark in there. And if you haven't seen that, I highly recommend that. That is also a time travel-esque mystery. It's German. There's 3 seasons. Oh, and maybe also a little bit of Travelers.
Oh man, I love Travelers. It is a tragedy that was not renewed for a fourth season. And I still have to say, that dude who I still know is Will from Will and Grace, he played a phenomenal FBI agent. After playing Will in Will and Grace, right? And Will is a typical Manhattanish kind of socialite, not a guy who handles a weapon. For him to transition to that role and be a boss, married FBI, my hat's off to him. But I get the same thing from this show, Bodies. And I have to say, man, I'm just so happy with it. I'm happy with how coherent the story is, how well they've managed 4 different timelines where I kind of feel like I know all 4 detectives. You know, sometimes it's so hard. They don't give like equal screen time, or they're jumpy all over the place. I have to say, I really feel comfortable with all 4 timelines. I don't think, maybe the one in 2023, they've given a little bit more, and maybe the one in 2053, they've given a little bit less. But 1890 and 1941, I feel like we've developed those characters enough that I kind of know what issues and risks they're facing. I'm still not exactly clear on how this plays out, but I agree. There's going to be some type of supernatural or someone who's kind of like omnipotent, who's manipulating everything across these timelines, right?
I think we've already met that character.
Yes, we have. And we've kind of seen him in each of those timelines, kind of with a different facial hair and style.
Yeah, exactly.
And stuff, right?
I'm looking forward to it. I'm very excited. I thought it's a really refreshing take, not just on the genre of time travel and, an interconnecting thread, but also it's one of those few shows where they haven't, and this is going to make me sound so right-wing, they've taken the issue of representation, but they haven't made that the central conceit of the show.
You're right.
Somehow, somewhere, you would have expected that the main character in the 23 timeline is a female Muslim police officer, and then the future detective is also a female minority who's maybe gay, maybe not, we don't know. That's something that the critics of most of these new shows on Netflix would harp on, being like, oh, well, this is just about trying to up the representation quota, blah, blah, blah. They don't play to that at all in this show, because they're just like, hey, look, she's just a Muslim police detective. He's just a potentially closeted gay man. That's it. The story isn't about that. The story is about the murder mystery. That's just an aspect of their personality.
I would just say one thing about the Black Muslim detective in 2023. I agree. I think they've done a very good job of not saying anything. The whole point of this is not to be like, to say it like in the dialogue, to like reiterate what everyone clearly sees, right? It should really be strictly unsaid. The obvious is the obvious, and it should focus on the plot and not the person. The one exception I think that they made, and I didn't really like it, was, remember then she went to
See the sister?
meet with that. Yeah.
And they're like, you're the only one who can do this. She'll trust you more.
I didn't like that at all. First of all, that's a really manipulative thing to do.
Yeah.
And it would have been better if it was like a white skinhead, for example, and the police detective would have been like, look, you're the best person to get close to people or something, But the fact it was just like, oh, you guys both wear hijab, like, I'm sure you can like get some secrets from her. It didn't add to the storyline, and it just made me feel like a little bit queasy.
It was a little on the nose, and every other aspect, she's regarded as just a very good detective.
Which is exactly what you want it to be.
That's exactly.
Right?
To the point where they're calling her in on her day off to join the task force because she's good, not because she's a Black Muslim woman.
Yeah, exactly. Well. All right. So that is the first half of our streamer skip. That is Bodies on Netflix. Just came out October 19th. Pete and I have watched 3 episodes. We're all in. We both think it's a must subscribe. We're definitely going to finish it probably by next week.
Yeah.
Pete, what was your assignment?
So I had to watch also on Netflix a show called Giri Haji.
Mm-hmm.
Also 8 episodes, also a mini series. Spoiler alert, I finished all 8 episodes.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Really?
I binged them all in one night.
Does that mean it's a must subscribe?
So here's the twist.
Ah.
I don't think it's a must subscribe. I watched the first 3 episodes and I was like, yeah, this is definitely it. I'm all in on it. And it's one of the rare times where, the more I watched it, the more I thought about it, the more I was like, look, it's a good show. I don't think it's a must subscribe. I think this is an
It couldn't keep the magic going.
It couldn't keep the magic going. Although, again, having said that, I did watch all 8 episodes in one night. Take from that what you will. I know it sounds a bit hypocritical of me. So let me give you the gist. The gist is that it is a show set in London, but it's really about a Japanese, let's say, mystery. The show opens with a mob hit in Tokyo, Yakuza on Yakuza.
Okay.
We understand that there is a tentative peace agreement between all the mob families, the Yakuza families. The mob hit was against the current head of the mob. And then we learned that the police detective that's investigating that murder, his younger brother, who's been dead for a year, used to be an assassin for the Yakuza.
Okay.
And then we learned that he's not actually dead. He's been missing for the year. He's been in hiding. And in London, he takes revenge on one of the Yakuza members that exiled him by murdering another Yakuza family's nephew. And the idea is that it's going to set off a war because they think that the Yakuzas are fighting against each other again.
We'll call them Family A and Family B, right?
Yeah.
That's the Yakuza, right?
Family A exiles its assassin to London.
Lay low, stay under the radar. You don't exist, right?
So they don't even know that he's been exiled to London. It's a self-imposed exile because he committed adultery. He hooked up with the daughter of Family A's leader.
He was boinking the leader's daughter. He's going to be mad at me. I'm just going to pretend I died, fake my own death. I'm going to move to London. Okay.
Exactly.
And then he kills a member of Family B in London.
Yep.
Because he wants to start the civil war all over again.
Exactly. So that back in Tokyo, people think that Family B and Family A are feuding again.
Yep.
And that'll destroy the peace.
And why does he want to destroy the peace?
Because then hopefully the head of Family A gets killed in that.
So he can take the daughter.
So that he can come back home and then be with his daughter again.
Love is so complicated, huh?
It's so complicated. It gets even more complicated because that assassin, his older brother, is a lead police detective in Tokyo who's investigating the Yakuza. Now, the chief of police has, let's say, a loose alliance with the Yakuza because they kind of work together to keep the peace. It's not that they're condoning the mob. It's just that they know that it's better to keep peace with the mob rather than to have an open war with the mob.
It's the Baby Driver thing we saw, right?
Kind of. Tokyo Vice. So the police in Tokyo send the detective to London.
Oh, unbeknownst to him, it's his brother who did it.
He figures out that it's probably his brother who's faked his death.
All right.
So he goes to London under the guise of an exchange program with the police so that he goes to a criminology course in London.
Okay.
And while he's there, he's actually investigating the murder of the nephew of Family B in the mob.
Okay.
And also looking for his brother so that he can bring him back home to Tokyo to face justice with the Yakuza and to convince that all the Yakuza members that this wasn't actually a Yakuza sanctioned hit. so that there is no war between the Yakuza men.
But let me ask you this. If he does bring his brother back and say, my brother killed the nephew, so problem solved. Is Family B going to accept that? Like, oh, well, he just killed him. He was rogue, so bygones be bygones? Or they can be like, look, you're still Family A, so we're...
Do you want spoilers?
Yeah, why not? I mean, it's streamer
We
skill.
learned that Family B was in on it with him from the entire beginning, and they sanctioned the hit on their own nephew so that they could start the war.
Why do they want to start the war?
Because Family B wants to become the new leader of the Yakuza.
And they said, we'll kill the leader. We'll be the boss. You can take the daughter.
That's where the twist comes in.
I have to say, what you've described seems pretty compelling.
Yeah.
I can see why you watched all 8 episodes, but it's not a must subscribe for you. It's still
I'll tell you why. So, by the way, spoiler alert, preemptive and post-emptive spoiler alert.
Current emptive.
Yeah. Story-wise, it's a super, super compelling plot. And it becomes a really interesting fish out of water investigation. The production values of the show are pretty excellent. It's mostly filmed in Japanese with their subtitles. And then, like, whenever you see him texting his wife or texting his family, it does that thing that we first saw in House of Cards, where you see the screen text of the text in Japanese, but it then gets translated to English. So everyone can read it. There's no issue there. The problem I had with it is that the B plot becomes very complicated. The Japanese detective is kind of like in this loveless marriage. He goes to London and he kind of gets involved in like this pseudo affair with the teacher who was doing the course, the criminology course that he's on.
Is she?
She's British, yeah. And then you also have the other C plot is that his daughter, who's really nice, she gets expelled from her school because she doesn't like boys, and she comes to London and it turns out that she's maybe gay, and so she runs away from her family and goes after her dad. His father and mother live with them at home in this cramped apartment in Tokyo. The whole B and C plots are a little bit messy and kind of take away from everything, and they're all loosely interconnected, but not well done.
You know, when you explain it like that, I totally agree, which is you tune into the show for the detective elements, for the mobster, gangster elements, and that hooks you. And then you've got to suffer through the same thing that you and I have railed against forever. It's always the misbehaving daughter. It's so sexist, isn't it? It's always the misbehaving daughter.
The daughter is actually great. I didn't mind her at all. So in this case, there is a misbehaving child or a youngster element. Yeah. When he's in London, he finds a half Japanese, half British gigolo who acts as like not just his translator, but like his local guide who can get him into like the seedy underbelly of London to try to find his brother. And that guy is a drug addict, but he's one of those people that's also super loud and super proud. And he takes away from every scene. I hated him. I just couldn't stand him at all.
Yeah.
The point is that going back to what you were alluding to, Tokyo Vice.
Yeah.
They had a small element of a B plot, but it connected to the A plot and it was really well done, right? And it was about that girl who worked at the hostess bar, who's also American, who was running away from her problems in America.
Yeah.
And they get along, and it was kind of like a will they, won't they? But of course, the A plot was really about the murder with the Yakuza and with Ken Watanabe and the police detective.
Yeah.
That's what we were hooked on.
Yeah.
But the B plot didn't take away from that story. It added to it, and it really worked well. In this case, I felt like the B and C plots were taking away. Not interesting. What I think they tried to do was they took some elements of a Guy Ritchie movie, but it wasn't comedic because it was a serious drama. And Guy Ritchie works because his stuff is serious, but it's also funny at the same time. It's comedic.
Yeah.
Right? When you think of Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, it's a comedy first with a small bit of film noir mystery behind it. And the same goes with the one with Brad Pitt. The boxing one?
Brad Pitt is a boxer?
Yeah, come on, man. You know this.
Recent?
Not recent. Snatch.
Oh man, I don't know if I've ever seen that actually.
Oh my God. Stop what you're doing. Right after we end this recording, you're going to go watch Snatch.
Stop what I'm doing. I'm talking to you. Stop talking to me.
We'll take a 2.5-hour pause.
Pete's like, I'm just going to continue this podcast without Ethan because I told him to stop what he's doing. He took it literally and
put me on mute. Boot up Netflix. Snatch. You have to go watch. It's excellent. It's really, really, really good. Anyway, so the point was that
the B plot, the C plot sucked.
The B and C plots were terrible. There were some elements of comedy in there or things that could have been played up for comedy if they had gone that direction, but they didn't. So it just didn't work for me. Plot-wise, very compelling. In terms of production values, very good. There's some film noir elements. So like the flashbacks are in black and white. There are dolly zooms with spotlights in the entire room going dark except for the main protagonists. Some animated sequences. So it's a little bit of a hodgepodge. It's a little bit of a mix. It kind of works. It kind of doesn't at times. I think it was kind of like the producers were like, I really like Guy Ritchie. I really like Quentin Tarantino. I really like British police dramas. Oh, and I really like Tokyo Vice. Let's combine all of them into one show.
Yeah.
And it didn't exactly work. It was a little bit of a castle.
Yeah. What I find, either because of one or two different things, either you have a very weak creator or a very weak director, and that person has so many other voices around them, they don't have the strength, the professional credentials, or they don't have like the personality, or it's because of the financial strength, like the investors who are executive producers or something. And they have to listen to all these voices and try to make everybody a little bit happy with their vision. And as a result, you get a little bit of this Frankenstein. Or the flip side is you've got a super powerful creator director. They don't listen to anyone else's opinion, and they put together kind of everything that they want without anyone being able to really stand up to them and say, hey, this is getting a little bit choppy. Consider, like streamlining this and keeping it a little bit more simple. They've got kind of like carte blanche over the whole thing, and they add all these elements without the ability to kind of step back, not have this pride of authorship, and realize that they're overcomplicating, a storyline. I feel like it's always one of those two things. When you see a great show or a great series, it's so seamless and is pulled off so well that you don't really appreciate how hard it is to keep that straight line, to stay on track, and to avoid all the other little influences that you'd like to incorporate, right? Mm-hmm. Just like designing a house, you're like, oh, I like this, I like this, I like this. You've got to like kind of pick your theme and stick with it. You're not going to be able to incorporate everything that you like. You've got to pick the one thing and be really disciplined and brutal in terms of what you allow in.
So yes, in that regard, I totally agree with you. Where they should have shown restraint, they didn't. And I think that's what stopped this from being a must subscribe. It is definitely a show that I was on the verge of telling you to watch. In fact, I did message you to say, by the way, I finished all 8 episodes.
Yeah, you liked it.
But I know that we're watching Bodies. I know that we're watching a few other series that are, I would say, higher priority on the basis of must-watchability.
Yeah.
I would strongly suggest, which is why this is a mooch, though, when you've got time, definitely watch at least the first episode, and you'll know, yes, I definitely want to watch this, or it's fine, I don't mind. Unlike Snatch, I'm not going to tell you to drop what you're doing and watch.
Drop what you're doing. Okay, so that's Giri, Haji.
Yep.
On Netflix, 1 season, 8 episodes, mooch.
A very strong one. In hindsight, I think I would have been much better off having watched the rest of Bodies that night instead of all of Giri Haji.
That's the proof. Before we do our assignments for next week, can we talk about 2 elephants in the room? Wheel of Time. We still have not watched episode 2 of Wheel of Time. What does that say?
I was thinking about this a lot, just to give our listeners a little bit of insight. On Amazon Prime, I have Carnival Row Season 2, Jack Ryan Season 4, The Burial, Upload Season 3, all shows and movies that I really want to watch. I haven't gotten around to watching them, and I don't know how much of that is because it's Amazon Prime or how much of that is just that I'm kind of losing my interest in those shows.
Yeah. Let me give you my hot take. I haven't even considered Burial.
Yeah.
Jack Ryan, it's not appointment television. I know what I'm getting with Jack Ryan. I feel like that's a safe bet when I'm desperate to watch something. I can't find anything else. Upload was absolutely pleasant and enjoyable. Not dying to see that. I think the two I have, which I was thinking are the elephants in the room, Gen V, which I've seen except for the season finale. And I can say in the strongest terms, it is must subscribe. If you like The Boys, you will like Gen V. If you hate The Boys, you will hate Gen V. And I use this analogy for you, Pete. Think of this as Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul.
Right.
If you like one, you will like the other. You may like one or the other a little bit more, but they move together parallel. Like one, like both. Hate one, hate both. Doesn't matter which one. Same parallel between The Boys and Gen V. If you didn't like The Boys, if it was too vulgar, grotesque, you will not like Gen V. If you thought that was the best part of it, and you really like this aspect of The Boys and the wry humor, same thing with Gen V. So Gen V, for me, must subscribe. I could knock all 8 of those out in one night if I could stay awake. Wheel of Time is confusing to me because I actually enjoyed season 1 of Wheel of Time quite a bit. I think the problem with Wheel of Time for me is that I don't think I can just pick it up straight. I think I need to refresh myself on what happened on season 1. I think I need to do like a little bit of research and get myself in the mindset. And I think I need to concentrate on that a little bit more. I don't feel like it's so passive enjoyment. I think I need to be a little bit more prepared and really remind myself of the characters and the plot and everything of season 1. And I haven't either had the time or just the stomach to kind of do my homework and get prepared for season 2.
Right.
But I'm dying for you to see Gen V. I'm really, really dying for you to see Gen V. I don't think there's that much for us to discuss. Like, I think even for The Boys, we really got into the social commentary on what it means to be a hero, unique take on superheroes, you know, the darkness, all that stuff. I think all that's going to apply again. I don't think we're probably going to have that much new to hash out. But from an enjoyability perspective, from a creativity perspective, I think it's fantastic.
I haven't not been watching Gen V because I don't want to. It's just that I haven't had the time. Honestly, I just haven't had the time.
Why don't you take it this week for your streamer skip?
Yeah, actually, that's not a bad idea. I can definitely do that.
Why not? Okay, so take that for your streamer skip. And what do I have assigned then this week as mine?
You have an Amazon Prime original called Sneaky Pete.
Oh, Sneaky Pete. I've heard of it. Kind of old, but I'm looking forward to it.
Exactly. The whole point is that it is a little bit old. I thought we'd dip into our bag of tricks to go for something that's a little bit
retro. I love it. So next week, we combine the old and the new. I, Ethan, will get Sneaky Pete. Pete will get Gen V. Not so Sneaky Pete. Where can people get our credentials if they want to drop us a line and either agree, disagree on bodies, Giri, Haji, and tell us how much we have to look forward to for Gen V and Sneaky Pete?
Yeah, and also, why don't you all tell Ethan why he should stop what he's doing after this recording and watch Snatch?
Stop what I'm about to do, yeah. Watch Snatch.
Tweet at us at FNS Podcast. You can DM us on Instagram at Films and Stuff Podcast. You can email us aloha@filmsandstuffpodcast.com. But as always, the best way to get in touch with us, like this video, leave a comment below, subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to hit that notification bell so that when the next episode of the Films and Stuff podcast drops, you'll be the first to know.
All right, Pete, thank you for your time. Listeners, thanks for joining us on this stream or skip segment of the Films and Stuff podcast. We'll see you all next week.
Thanks, Ethan. Thanks, everyone.
Bye now.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Films and Stuff. If you haven't already, please subscribe and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever podcasts are downloaded. Films and Stuff. There is no substitute.